Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice Radio, so we are back with round 2 of the Charlotte, North Carolina League Cup. The names are actually the wrong way round. We've got Ryan Allred on the left, playing Rayquaza. You might remember that deck from round 1. We've got Ryan Sablehouse on the right, playing Zoroark Garbodor. Huge thank to Alex Wilson of the Emerald Break, who's given us permission to use this footage, answered all of my questions, and just been an out-and-out, all-around lovely chap. So in the first round, we did see a Rayquaza mirror match. I will, of course, link that one in the description. They were both Rayquaza with B-String, a build of which I am very, very fond. Now it's going to be interesting to see what kind of build of Rayquaza Ryan Allred is playing, and whether Ryan Sablehouse's Zoroark Garbodor is actually going to be able to stand up to it. Do remember, of course, Ryan Sablehouse is one of the top 16 players in the US at the moment. He's got a Day 2 Worlds invite, and we are off, and it looks like Ryan Allred is going to be going first. It's got Latias Prism Star, which is, it's the best starting Pokemon you can have in a Rayquaza deck. You've got that lovely little dreamy mist attack, 30 damage, and you get to attach a basic energy from your discard pile to each of your bench dragon Pokemon. Good news for Ryan, he's got a Rayquaza on the bench. Bad news for Ryan, he's just playing a turn 1 Cynthia. No Ultra Ball, no Mysterious Treasure, no Max Elixir, no even energy attachment, just a straight Cynthia. Not the best start, but at least he had a supporter card. Now, we do see at least one Max Elixir in his deck, but he's choosing to just pass. He doesn't need much else, to be perfectly honest with you. Unfortunately, Ryan Sablehouse, punishing him for that, plays down a Parallel City straight away, which is going to limit Ryan's bench to 3. Yes, it's awkward that they're both called Ryan. And then playing an N. So, Ryan Allred didn't want to do very much that first turn. Now, do remember, he's playing against Garbodor, and this is a League Cup, often with quite a few local players, so he probably knew that Ryan was playing Garbodor, so he didn't want to go nuts on the item cards. But the fact is, he didn't even have an energy attachment turn 1, and now Ryan Sablehouse is going to punish him for that. He's got Latios, and yes, it's awesome that we've got Latias against Latios to begin this game. And then he just does 30 to the active, 30 to one on the bench, but of course there is only one bench Pokemon there, so they both take 30 damage. This is not like in the last round. In the last round, we saw, I think, 4 energy per player on turn 1. That's a little bit nuts. Here, a much more conservative start from both players. But finally, Ryan Allred's got something going. He's got an energy on the Latias. He's got a Fighting Fury belt on the Latias. Gives him an extra 40 HP while allowing the attack to do an extra 10 damage. And then he gets another Cynthia. But as it stands at the moment, Ryan Sablehouse isn't under a lot of pressure. Now, he didn't get the turn 1 Trubbish, which means he won't get the turn 2 Garbodor, but there really isn't much coming down here. The good news for Ryan Allred, he's got that Xurkitree, another card that we saw in round 1. It's got that flashing head ability, which prevents all damage done by any Pokemon with special energy attached. But remember, that ability is going to mean nothing when Ryan Sablehouse gets his Garbodor rolling and turns it off. Now, we do see a trade here, draws him a Puzzle of Time and a Guzma, and it looks like we're going to see an Ultra Ball straight away, getting rid of a Guzma and an Evo Soda, and it's either going to be a Zorua or a Trubbish here. And he's actually gone and got both of them. It really depends on what he wants, whether he's going to go full ability lock, or whether he really wants to get the Zoroark out. Oh, and I've been trolled. He's actually going for a Tapu Lele for a Bridget for all 3 of those basics. Sometimes once you start getting Zoroark and the trade up, you try and avoid getting that Tapu Lele because it's on your bench, it's a 2-price Pokemon. It takes 1 fewer energy for Rayquaza to KO, but clearly here you look at Ryan's setup and you go, yeah, I think getting that Bridget here, absolutely the right play. And honestly, probably wished he had it a turn earlier. Now, we see another Cynthia coming down from Ryan Allred here, which means he's now had 3 turns, and he's played 3 Cynthia. His discard pile at the moment is Cynthia, which is not ideal. He didn't even get to attach an energy using Latias last turn because there weren't any energy in the discard pile, and Ryan here is content to just spread damage around. That Rayquaza's already down to 120 HP. As soon as Rayquaza gets hit by Latios, it is within range of a Zoroark with a Choice Band. But if it gets hit twice, it's in range of a Zoroark without a Choice Band. The numbers are starting to go very, very much in Ryan Sablehouse's favour here. So we do see a Max Elixir finally come down. It's onto a Pheromosa-GX. Pheromosa-GX, I mean, it's got a great GX attack to finish off the game. It's not that great in the early game. Now, he is popping that Pheromosa active. For 2 Grass Energy, it's got Cruel Spike, 60 damage, plus Confusion. It's fine. It's not a kind of powerhouse attack. It's not the kind of attack you dream of. But does a decent amount of damage and confusion. And the numbers here actually work out perfectly, because if Ryan flips tails on confusion, he will actually knock himself out going into Ryan Allred's turn. So the numbers here do work beautifully. They're basically forcing Ryan to have, well, a different Pokemon active. Of course, if he can hit a double colourless energy and a Guzma, he will be able to take out that Rayquaza, get a couple of prizes off it. But the difficulty with doing that is he would then open up Beastring. Oh, now that is a better option. Ace Roller comes down, heals up completely that Latios, while also recovering that double colourless energy. And there we go. Latios goes straight down on the bench. Double colourless goes straight onto Tapu Lele. And then we just see an energy drive for 80 damage. Again, Ryan doesn't need to get KOs in these early turns. He wants to finish out the game with Zoroark. What Ryan Allred needs to do is just take 3 big GX KOs and finish out the game that way. What Ryan Sablehouse needs to do is just pick away. Bring all of Ryan Allred's Pokemon down into range so they can be KO'd by a Tapu Lele or a Zoroark. Unless Ryan Allred plays a lot of item cards, Ryan Sablehouse isn't getting big one-hit KOs. Although you can see he's very cleverly left that Trubbish there on the bench. He doesn't want to evolve it. If he needs to turn off abilities, he'll evolve it into the Garbotoxin Garbodor. If he needs to take big KOs, he'll evolve it into the Trashalanche Garbodor to do a bunch of damage. I love the fact he's left it there. He doesn't need either of them yet, so he's just leaving them. Now, we do see an end come down from Ryan Allred. He has gone and got his Floatstone onto the Pheromosa there. And there really isn't very much going on his side of the board. Yeah, sure, he's got the Pheromosa and can do Cruel Spike again. But then it's probably getting KO'd by a Tapu Lele. I mean, it would need a Choice Band or another energy, but that's literally all it would need. And yeah, so we do see the 60 damage come down. They haven't flipped the Tapu Lele over for confusion. That might be because it's just about to get removed from the active. And we do see getting rid of the Enhanced Hammer here to draw 2 cards. But that should have caused confusion there. It might not end up mattering, but as it stands at the moment, there should be confusion on that Tapu Lele, which is, of course, big. Oh, my goodness. Now we've got 3 Zoroark out. That's a lot. It's going to be a lot of draw power. Now, Ryan's got a bunch of options here. He could retreat into a Zoroark to take the KO. He could play a Guzma and take a KO on the Rayquaza instead. There is an interesting dynamic here, because as soon as Ryan takes a GX KO, he's going to be opening up Beastring for Ryan Allred. We saw this in round 1. I suppose when you're opening up Beastring, the key is you're rarely going to be able to avoid it. So try and make sure, there comes the Ace Roller. You need to try and make sure you only give them 1 turn of Beastring, and hopefully they won't draw into it. Oh, he's actually got 2 options here. He's got an Ace Roller and a Guzma. So you play the Ace Roller here, and it's just going to bring up a Zoroark. It doesn't matter which one. Zoroark, even without a full bench, will now get a KO on that Pheromosa. And then that's going to put Ryan up by 2 prizes. And Ryan Allred just doesn't have many energy on the board at this stage. I mean, even if he hits a Beast Ring, gets 2 energy on a Xurkitree, Rumbling Wires only does 100 damage. Now it discards the top card of your opponent's deck. Maybe it'll be a, double colorless energy or something else pretty good, but it's still not a great attack. You don't really play Beast Ring in this Rayquaza build to use the Ultra Beast. I mean, Pheromosa's GX attack is great as a late game thing. Other than that, Beast Ring is just a way of getting energy on the board. That's all it really is supposed to do. I do love the fact that we've now seen the 3rd player in this tournament in 2 rounds playing Rayquaza with Beast Ring. When I started talking about this deck, I did admit it was a fairly clunky version, you could say. And I wasn't 100% sure about it. I love that people are using it. So we do see the Beast Ring onto the Xurkitree here. But Rumbling Wires isn't even 2-hit KOing at this stage. He'd need, say, a Fighting Fury Belt or a Choice Band to get a 2-hit KO. Now, it does have the Flashing Head ability. But Ryan's got a Trubbish on the bench. He's got a Floatstone in hand. He's got 3 Zoroark on the board. If he wasn't able to get a Garbotoxin Garbodor at this stage, I would be very, very, very surprised. Because, well, why else would he leave the Trubbish on the bench? That's what he's planning for. So we do see a mysterious treasure coming down from Ryan Allred here. Gets himself a bit of the old Rayquaza. He can use the ability to try and get an extra energy, and he is going to. Discards the top 3 cards of his deck. What does he discard? There's a Rayquaza, a Lightning Energy, and it looks like a Tapu Lele. It's not the worst discard ever. All those cards are fairly easily recoverable. Then we see a Professor Sycamore discarding a Beast Ring, which I find very interesting. The thing is, you don't have infinite energy in your deck, and that Xurkitree doesn't have free retreat. And this shows how Ryan's start is far from optimal. If he'd had a good start here, and remember, Parallel City's still down, so we can't have any more bench Pokemon. He'd love to have played a second Beast Ring there and accelerated 2 more energy, but then he's taken energy out of his deck. He hasn't got a way to retreat Xurkitree other than manually retreating, and then you've got a 5 energy Xurkitree there. I mean, you're just running into issues at this stage. Trubbish discard's not too bad, so we did see 100 damage discarding the Trubbish off the top of the deck there, but you know it's not going well when you've got a Beast Ring in hand, your opponent's got 3 or 4 prizes remaining, and you're choosing to Professor Sycamore it because playing it even for 1 energy would do more harm than good. That is not ideal. Now, it's not like Ryan's running away with this game yet, but the Parallel City is hurting, and I don't know if there's no natural stadium that Rayquaza needs to play here. So, really, Ryan's going to be digging for a field blower to get rid of the Parallel City. He's got just enough energy on the board to start doing some damage if no KO comes down here. But it's not looking amazing. Now, the good news is, as it stands at the moment, Ryan Sablehouse hasn't actually got that Garbodor. And you've got to think at some point in the near future it's coming down. But it hasn't come down yet. Oh, and he's actually attaching an energy and evolving up into the Trashalanche, choosing to go after the benched Rayquaza for a non-GX KO. Now, there's an argument to leave that Rayquaza for prizes 5 and 6. By KOing the Rayquaza, you open up a bench space which can be used to play a Rayquaza and get some energy. And it doesn't take any energy off the board, but he didn't have the Trashalanche. And also, he's getting a KO on a GX using a non-GX, forcing Ryan to have a Guzma to take a GX KO. But then if he does that, you're not taking out this single prize attacker that's doing a bunch of damage, and Ryan's down to 2 prizes. So whereas in some games maybe you would have said, yeah, let's keep that Rayquaza for prizes 5 and 6, Ryan Sablehouse is just saying here, yeah. Either he takes a GX KO and I've still got my Garbodor, or he KOs the Garbodor and he's still got to take 3 KOs to win the game, and I've still got a whole bunch of stuff on the board. I think he's feeling pretty good about this right now. There's no real one-hit KO coming down here, but he doesn't need a one-hit KO. He's going to be ahead having taken 4 prizes to his opponent's 1. He can easily afford to just 2-hit KO the Rayquaza here, and as long as he draws a Guzma at some point between now and many turns in the future, he's going to be just fine. Now, an Ace Roller here would be quite nice, just to take that Zoroark off the field, remove those easy 2 prizes, and then be able to reuse that double colorless energy on a new Zoroark. Or he could even here just start using Latias again and just spreading some damage around. Latios, I should say. They're very similar, although only one of them is the Baby Daisy Spirit Pokemon. Remember, as soon as a Latios hits a Rayquaza for 30 damage, that Rayquaza is then in range of a Zoroark with a full bench and a Choice Band. That's why Latios is so good in these builds at the moment. The biggest problem with Zoroark has always been the inability to get big KOs. But if you can have one Pokemon that with 1 attack for 1 energy attachment, a double colorless energy, puts 2 GX Pokemon in range of being KO'd, even though it's not necessarily been needed that much this game, you can see how it works. Although, to be clear, it was the 2 lots of Latios attacking that put that previous Rayquaza in range of being KO'd. So actually here, lots of good stuff happening, and he's actually using a Tapu Lele. He's going for a Delinquent here. Now, Ryan Allred's got quite a large hand, but I like the play here, because you're getting rid of free cards in your opponent's hand, and even if you don't immediately replace a stadium, they've now got far fewer options. It's not as devastating as dropping a Delinquent and your opponent's got a free card hand, but it's still kind of fun, and you can see here, if this was an easy decision for Ryan Allred, he would have made this decision far quicker. The fact that he's debating this for so long shows that he's dropping cards, at least 1 or 2 cards, if not all 3, that he really would rather not be discarding. Which means Ryan Sablehouse is gaining beautifully from playing this Delinquent. So we see a Guzma, a Professor Sycamore, and a Mysterious Treasure hitting the discard there. He has opened up the bench here, but we see, as I suggested, Ryan just taking a 2-hit KO. He doesn't need anything else here. He's putting 100 damage on the Rayquaza, while getting his Garbodor down and turning off abilities, and really just putting himself in a position here to just finish out this game. And we do even see a Choice Band coming down here, so it's actually going to be 130. And now even a Latios with a Choice Band can finish off that Rayquaza. And that's all it's going to take for Ryan Sablehouse to win the game. And what do you do if you're Ryan Allred here? Sure, you can take a KO using Rayquaza, but then you'll instantly be KO'd back. The Zoroark's already got the energy. That's the argument against playing Ace Roller on the previous turn, by the way, is that you keep the energy. So we do see the Guzma coming out here, and we're going to need a Field Blurt. There we go. Ryan Sablehouse has got the Guzma in return to take out the Rayquaza with the Tapu Lele, and that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Rayquaza can win that matchup with a nice fast start, but unfortunately, he didn't get a nice fast start. He had a slow enough start that Parallel City really slowed him down, and Ryan Sablehouse shows why he's in the top 16 in North America at the moment. It was a fairly straightforward win. Use Latios for a couple of turns, and then bring in the 2-hit KOs. You don't need to have giant 1-hit KOs if you can slow your opponent down and get 2-hit KOs, and you saw in that game, Ryan Allred just got nothing going. Part of it was his draws weren't amazing in the early game, but a large part of it was Parallel City and the threat of both of the Garbodors basically meant Ryan just didn't have anything. Yeah, sure, he could have gone more aggressive on the item cards in the early game, but but had he done that, Ryan might have just swept to victory with Garbodor, a very tricky deck with lots of options, the kind of deck that demands to be played by a player of Ryan's caliber, because it's not the easiest deck to play. So congratulations to Ryan. As long as these videos are popular enough, we'll be back with rounds 3, 4 and all the rest very shortly. Huge thank you to Alex Wilson and everybody over at the Emerald Break for allowing us to use this footage. I will link them in the description. Do make sure you check their channel out. They rock. For now, make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi, Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio and patreon.com/PTCGRadio to support the channel and get some bonus podcasts if you feel so inclined. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves. Until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross and you've been watching PTCG Radio.